Hi, welcome back to Rabbits Forever. Disclaimer, this video is going to be very controversial, but this video is going to be the basic care of a rabbit. Absolute basic care. The more you can give your animal, the happier they're going to be, but this is the basics for a breeder. So first, I'm going to talk about cages. This is my cage that I built myself. I prefer building cages because they end up being a lot cheaper. This cage I only spent about, I would say, $200 on for everything. All the wood, wire, screws and all that stuff. All the screws and bolts that I put this together with. Now, an average cage, minimum size cage for a medium, large to small rabbit breed is, majority people recommend as a minimum 2 foot by 2 foot. Which me, as a breeder, I try to keep them in a little bit larger size of cage, but if I have a lot of stock, I will go down to that. My average cage size, I try to keep at about 2 foot by 3 foot for those for larger sizes of rabbits. Small size of rabbits like Netherland dwarfs, Britannia petites, rabbits that are small, I will do a 2 foot by 2 foot. Now runner breeds, they might be small, so the tan, the English spot, checkered giant, and the checkered giant, they do require larger cages because they're a giant breed. But the tan and the English spot I would keep in this size of cage, a 2 foot by 4 foot, because they are a runner breed. They require a lot of exercise, a lot of other things. So look at the breed of rabbit you have and determine their cage size yourself. I would say the average size, if you're just keeping for a pet, a good size would be a 2 foot by 4 foot, just because it gives them room to run. It's not taking up a ton of space. Let me see if I can get this in a whole shot. But as you see, my bunny cages are sitting right on the corner of my house, right in a spot that we don't even use. It's just next to our gardening bench, and it's just in the little teeny corner. So it doesn't take up much space, and I built up, so this cage is taller. It even has wheels on the bottom and stuff, so I can roll it around easily and get it to places that I need to, or if I need to move it in the future, it'll make it easier. Now, this is my girl's cage. As you see, it has a wire bottom, and for Angora rabbits, there's little Luna. For Angora rabbits, which she is, it is impossible to have a solid bottom cage. Because as you see this right here, that's just pulling up bedding. That would get stuck and clumped all over her wool, and she would end up having mats constantly. I would never have her completely cleaned and groomed. And with Angoras, if they get mats, especially along their feet and butts, it can actually mat up so badly to where it makes it difficult for them to walk. So for Angoras, yes, solid wire bottom cage. That is exactly what you need. But for other rabbits, I prefer a solid bottom cage. For Rexes and other breeds like that, I prefer a solid bottom cage because it prevents sore hocks. It's much more difficult to clean, but it is a great way to prevent sore hocks. Now, if you know tricks, so for instance, floor pads, baby oil on the feet, just little bits and tricks, or if you have really good genetics in your rabbits from the stock that you're buying. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into fur quality and the contribution to sore hocks, but if you have those things, a wire bottom for them is just fine. I mean, you can keep any rabbit on a wire bottom cage and they'll stay healthy and happy as long as you keep their cage cleaned and keep them fed and watered. That is basically all they need. But the more attention you give your bunnies, the happier they'll be, and the happier you'll be with your animal. So The next basic is a food bowl and a water dish. So these little things I bought at PetSmart for about, I want to say $9, $10. They're incredibly small and they're a lot more expensive than these right over here. These are my preferred feed and water dish because this is very easy for a quick water change. Yes, they do have algae issues every once in a while, but majority of the time they are very easy. And you don't have to worry about your rabbit peeing or putting stuff in the water because it has that little nibble on it. Now this feeder, it's called a J feeder. I love these because, and pardon for the fact that it's so dirty, it's just I haven't used this one in a while since I've been breeding rabbits. So it's just been sitting on the ground for a while. But they're made out of any type of metal. But I love these because you fill it up and you can honestly, if you're going on a weekend vacation, fill it up and they'll be great for the weekend. You don't have to worry about food over the weekend if you have one of these. But I typically like having my animals watched, especially if I'm leaving. If it's 1 or 2 days, then I'll be fine, especially if it's in the winter and I don't have to worry about the heat on my rabbits. But if it's hot or something, I'll usually ask a friend to come and throw ice bottles in their cages, which I'll go over summer tricks in a future video for taking care of your animals. Yeah, that's the basics, but for these ones, I learned with my Angoras that those little water bottles don't work very well because my Angoras will put their wool right up next to it and push on it, and it mats up their wonderful wool, and then I have to go in and take about an hour to get the mats out. So I switched over to little water bowls. Now this water bowl I have to fill up about once, twice a day, depending on my animal. My boy down here I have to fill up about twice a day because he drinks a lot of water. Her, on the other hand, hers is actually empty right now, but typically I only have to fill it up once a day, and I will be filling these up right after this video. I just wanted to get this done, said and done with. And as you see over here, she's got a J feeder. Now let me go to my Buck's cage, and this is just my pet cage. That's why I wanted to show you guys this one first. See how my divider's taken out of it? So it is, she has a full 2 foot by 4 foot run right there. And she is thrilled about it. It's hard to catch her every once in a while, but she's very happy with her cage. Now let me show you my Buck's cage. The other side of his cage I'm actually working on to make it more easier to clean, I guess. I can put it that way. But he is only in a 2 foot by 2 foot cage currently, and he will be moved, and I do need to clean his corner. But as you see, he's got a J feeder too. This one I don't like. It breaks really easily, but it's just because of the brand. But I do enjoy that it has this lid, because with baby bunnies, my bunnies always loved to sit in their feeder and pee on their food. So right here, this lid is wonderful. I used these all for my dams cages because when the kids were small and could actually fit in this, they would pack themselves into this little hole right here. If you can see it through my shadow, but they would pack themselves into this little hole right here and sit right on top of the feed, peeing and pooping all over the feed, which would ruin my feed and I'd have to throw it out and refill it, and then they'd do it all over again. So these ones right here, I don't like them because these things right here break, and these, as you see, this one already broke off, but it's supposed to actually have a hook like this one does. If you see that little hook, let me get out of the way there. This little hook right here, because this will actually hang on the wire, and you just hang it there, and there, you're done. Really simple to set up. So these ones I actually screwed into the wood. So that way they're not moving, my bunnies can't rip them off, nothing like that. But see, just basic feed. All I feed is pellets. And that is a very controversial topic, is what feed to feed your rabbits. Because that is something you need to know before you ever buy a rabbit. So rabbits, especially my Angoras, and this is Honey, by the way, my buck. He's a very sweet boy. He doesn't really like his whiskers played with. But he's a very good boy, very sweet, very loving. He's the typical loving Angora. They have amazing personalities, but they're just incredibly difficult to take care of. But as you see, his is a 2 foot by 2 foot. This would be the bare minimum size cage. Now for an Angora, since they do have such long wool, especially if I was growing his wool completely out, I would definitely put him in this size of cage like my doe is. But since I just keep him shaved down, he's perfectly fine and content in here, as well as running around my backyard. But back to the feed issue. All right, boy. But back to the feed issue. So these are basically all I feed my Angoras. Is these little pellets right here. Let's see if I can get it to focus in. Let's see. Alright, but yeah, you can buy these at any of your local cow ranch stores or anything. All I say is look for very high fiber and high protein. Fiber you can work with hay and oats and all that, but protein is a must. I say a minimum of 16, maybe 15% protein in these. I know the ones that I have right here in my hand are 16% protein. I don't remember what percentage of fiber it is, but I typically will add in oats because crimped oats, rolled oats, all that have very high fiber, which helps their guts move around properly and just work the way they're supposed to. I do not feed hay because when I owned about 30 rabbits, it would add up to a couple $100 a month just to feed hay. Because they would pee on it, which would ruin it, and I'd have to just throw it away. They'd throw it around their cage and not even eat it because it'd be mixed up with their bedding. All these pine shavings right here, it'd just get mixed up with it. Some of my rabbits, because I used to raise Rex, they just wouldn't eat it. They would only eat their pellets, which would cause them more digestive issues, and that's when I actually started adding oats in and I stopped feeding hay about that time as well, because I honestly just couldn't afford it, especially for how many rabbits I had. And my crimped oats are a lot cheaper. I can buy about a 40-pound bag for $15-ish, around that price, and it'll last me about half a year, depending how many rabbits I have. I mean, when I had 25, 30 rabbits, it would only last me maybe 3 months, maybe 3 or 4 months. But with these two, I can go through about 2 bags of crimped oats in about half a year, which is a huge money saver for me. Absolutely huge money saver. But if you do go with hay, I do suggest feeding Timothy or grass hay and never, ever alfalfa hay. Because alfalfa, your pellets are an alfalfa base, so your rabbits are already getting a ton of calcium. Now, all that calcium is doing, it's great for your animals, but your pellets already have enough. And depending on your rabbits, depending on their health and all that, it can actually cause blockages. It can cause kidney stones. It can cause all these health problems that can ultimately kill your rabbit, because a lot of vets will not do surgery on a rabbit, and if they do, they will tell you that there's a very low probability that your rabbit's going to make it out of it alive. And with how active these animals are, there's a very low probability that the stitches will stay intact after the surgery. So my advice is just be careful, do your research. Another thing is treats. So they don't have to have these, but of course it's fun. During the summer, I grow my own little mini garden for them. As you see, I have 3 plants of parsley because my rabbits adore parsley. And I think I have 3 plants of, or maybe only 2, of strawberries. Because rabbits love strawberries, they love parsley, they love bananas, apples, all that stuff. And it's always fun to feed it to them. I'd say greens are good any time of the day, but fruits, you always want to make that a very rare treat. And again, research anything you plan on feeding your animal, because rabbits' digestive systems are very, very sensitive, and you don't want to upset anything in there, because if you do, it can lead to bloat, and bloat's very difficult to take care of, especially if it's not caught in time. Now, there are a few tips and tricks on that as well, but I can save that for another video, especially since we're running on 16 minutes here. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was informative for you and help you with anything that you need. Ask any questions in the comments, and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.